Okay, so I'm back for week 3. I wasn't able to finish the dialogue, but I got a decent amount done. One little thing I changed is the selection indicator is now pink, because somebody mentioned that if you're colorblind, you can't see that shade of green too well that I had before. So I just changed it to pink. I think pink looks actually maybe even better than green. Okay, so now when I select an NPC, like there was before, it opens the dialogue, except now, show you again, the NPC moves his mouth a bit when I first open the dialogue. And then also whenever the NPC blinks in the actual game, it blinks in the avatar as well. So the eyes will match between the avatar and the actual NPC, and everything else will be different. So yeah, when you first start talking to him, he just moves his mouth twice, and there's probably going to be like a talking sound effect over top of that. That's going to be a lot easier than actually having him read out the whole dialogue, which would be too much work for me to do all on my own. But yeah, I think it's fine for now. I may change it later. As you can see, it'll also pan the camera down so that the dialogue box isn't blocking the actual characters. And on top of that, it will center your character. It'll pan the camera over so that they're both centered. No matter how far away the distance is, it'll recalculate it and center it. Okay, yeah, so then I'll show you the other thing is I added in moods. So depending on what the guy's saying, he can have a different mood. So this guy is going to be angry. So the eyes are different and the mouth is different when the mood is different. So as you can see, just looks a bit different. And then I'm also going to make it so that you can change your mood halfway through the dialogue. It's not going to all be one mood per NPC, obviously. Yeah, there's like some tiny bugs, but for the most part it's working. I might have messed up this guy's mouth animation a bit because he's got too much teeth showing. So it looks like he's not actually talking. He's like got too much teeth. I may fix that, but it's not that bad that I feel that urgent to fix it. Yeah, okay, so you can see there's the two moods, the mouth moving and the eyes blinking. Another thing I changed is when you start the dialogue, whatever the guy's doing, he'll stop doing and face you. So if he's flipping the other way, he'll flip toward you. If his head's tilted up or down, he'll tilt toward you. If he's looking away, he'll look toward you, and while you're talking to him, he won't do anything other than blink. So he'll just stand there staring straight at you while you're talking. So like this guy, his head was tilted, he's facing the other way, and his eyes were moving, but they all readjusted when I talked to him. And then if he's walking and I talk to him in the middle of him walking, he'll stop walking and turn around and talk to me. And then the moment I stop talking to him, he'll continue walking where he was going. So he stops, remembers where he was going, and then continues again, unless he's like really close to where he was going, in which case he just stops. So that guy was really close to where he was going. But yeah. Yeah, the other thing is the player. If the player's not facing the right way when the dialogue starts, they'll turn around like you saw there. So if I have some momentum when I first start the dialogue, my player will come to a stop and then turn around. They'll always face each other, basically. I also made it so that you can start and stop the dialogue as quickly as you want. So if you're in a hurry to play the game, you don't have to wait for the whole zoom in and zoom out, or the whole like dialogue to appear. So if I just do it quickly, you can see it still works fine. Yeah, one thing I should mention is when the camera pans like this, it's also going to zoom in 10%. I was trying to get that working, but it turns out my camera class that I wrote isn't as good as I thought it was, so I have to kind of redo a good chunk of it before I can get that working. Spent about 4 hours trying to fix it, and I have to redo the camera. But yeah, when it zooms in 10%, it does look cooler. Trying to remember what else there is. Yeah, obviously the player is going to be able to talk to, and there's going to be text and some other features. I think I'm going to take a break from the dialogue and stuff for now and finish it off later. Yeah, so I'll show you some more characters. Oh, these guys are standing on top of each other. That's weird. So that's another guy angry, and that's another guy normal. And I also added some more shading. So the detailed picture has a little bit more shading than it did last time. Yep. And yeah, when the dialogue's open, I can't do anything. It's as though I'm not pressing any keys when the dialogue's open. Yeah, so I got like a decent amount on the dialogue done. I'm going to start working on more of the actual game, I think. So adding some more attacks for the player and maybe some enemies. Start to get the actual game going in future episodes. But for now, the dialogue's pretty good. Yeah, and I also, because I'm coding this game from scratch, I have to kind of go back and clean up my code a lot. Because I have to kind of figure things out as I go a lot. So there's also quite a lot of code that needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, anyway, so this when you see the camera panning over like this, that's not actually that easy to do. I already had that coded. So what I'll show you is, I'll show you why I already had that coded. Let's see here. So yeah, this is called source tree. It's connected to a Git repository, which basically just means I can save a different version of my code as often as I want. So I'm going to go back in time, back when I wasn't getting that much done. I think it's right around here. I think this is the one. So I'm going to go back to like a few months ago, and you can see this is the version. Oh, whoops. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to go back a few months ago and show you I had already coded some of the camera. Okay. So now you'll see this is an older version of the game. Okay, so it's the same thing but less done. But yeah, one thing you'll notice that's different is when I turn the player, the camera turns to face where I'm facing. So the player isn't actually centered right now. They're always like a little bit off so that they can look a certain direction. And I thought that was a pretty good idea. But it turns out that like you turn around so often that I don't want like the camera to move back and forth too often. And when I was experimenting with this, I found that the camera just moves around too often. And I also tried having it only follow you if you've been following the same direction for more than 1 second. But I found that was also not that great because then the camera would lag behind you. But yeah, you can see this code where the camera looks where the player's looking, that's the same code as the stuff I'm using for the dialogue now. And one cool thing is basically you can, if the camera's panning one direction and then I turn around and start going the other direction, the camera will come to a stop and then like come back to me. So it's actually a little bit more complicated than it looks, where the camera has to never come to a direct stop. It always has to ease to a stop. So yeah, but I have to redo a lot of this camera code. Okay, anyway, so I'm not gonna get too much into what I'm planning on doing, like more specifically what I'm planning on doing next week. I'm just gonna kind of I'm not. There's a whole bunch of stuff I might do, but I'm definitely going to update you once a week. The last few weeks, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I think I'm gonna not have much problem getting more done in future episodes. Anyway, see you next week.